What's going on, community? How are y'all doing? My name is Kojo Sarfo, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Show, Dr. Kojo. Like I said, I'm your host, Kojo, checking in from what was a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. And we have a very interesting topic today. It won't be a long show, but it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. Shout out to Leilani for reminding me to go live. I'm not going to lie, I forgot. But we have a short episode, but we're going to talk about 5 low-key hidden signs of depression. And also, right now, I just dropped a short film here on Facebook about depression. I dropped it at 7 p.m. California time, so it's actually live right now. So you can either stop this live and go and watch it, or you can watch it after the live. The live won't be that long. But before we get into it, use the comment section here to introduce yourself. Let me know what your name is and where you're checking in from. All right. Zendaya, what's going on? We got Zendaya checking in from Kenya. All right. Shauna, what's up? What's up? How you doing? Not well. My depression is getting bad. Well, hopefully, we can learn a thing or two and we can get a little bit better, Lizzie. Hopefully. Kimberly says, hey, we got Buffalo. So I feel like Mary Beth has been on here before. I'm a big fan of you, Mary Beth, because you're OG, but the Buffalo Bills beat my team really badly last night. So I'm still hurting. I'm going to get over it. We got Ottawa in the house. ADD gang. Hey, what's up? What's up? Hi, good evening. Tata, how you doing? Let me see. Brandon, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And we have Jen checking in from Maple Shade, New Jersey. Okay. Fia checking in from New York. Jasmine from Canada as well. Barry from New Jersey. Okay. Michaela checking in from London, Ontario. Michaela, how are you doing? Leanne from Missouri. Brown from Texas. All right. Let's talk about it. 5 low-key hidden signs of depression, right? Because, and before I get into it, I just want to say, when you think of depression, what's the first thing you think of? You think of somebody who's like sad and, they're just not talking to people and they're in bed all day. All those things, yes, can be signs of depression, right? And in the DSM-5, we have a criteria listed that we use, so that way we know what to look for as providers. But for you all at home right now, I want to give you all 5 practical tips, right? And keep in mind, none of us are going to diagnose any one of our friends or ourselves, but here are 5 potential low-key hidden signs of depression. Let's go ahead and get into it. Number 1, somebody do like a virtual drum roll or something like that. I just did like a little ghetto one here, but I'll get the special effects and the sounds, and eventually I will make the show better for you all. I promise. All right. So number 1, the first low-key hidden sign of depression: sleeping too much or sleeping too little. Leilani, thank you for the drum roll. Leilani and Faith, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So sleeping too much or sleeping too little, right? So the big fancy word that we use for sleeping too much, we call it hypersomnia, right? And then too little is insomnia. I think we know what insomnia is, right? So why is sleeping too much a bad thing, right? Your body is supposed to rest. If you can get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, you're doing good. If it's a little bit below, let's see if we can get a little bit higher. If it's a little bit beyond, then something may be going on, right? If we're talking about you're sleeping, waking up at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3. If you're just in bed and if you're spending the majority of your time that you're in bed, not asleep, and you're oversleeping, that could be a sign that you're, I'm not saying you're depressed, but it could be a sign. I believe that the bed should be for sleeping, and if not sleeping, for having sex, right? If not that, then we should be up and we should be active. But when you have depression, things become harder than they've ever been. So that's why people may tend to be in bed a lot, right? And another sign is also sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, and also eating too much or not eating enough, right? We're just talking about the sleep. I felt compelled to talk about sleep because sleep is so much harder to do, between the million apps we have, between the iPhone, the back of iPhone, and the Mac, and then, the TV and the Hulu and the Netflix. All these things are vying for our attention. And even the phone, right? Being on your phone late at night, the blue light coming from the phone is making it harder for you to sleep, right? It's suppressing the natural melatonin that your body would produce, so sleeping too much, or not sleeping enough could be a sign of depression. So I definitely want you all to keep that in mind, right? And the reason why it's intentional that I started off with sleep number one, because this is something that we can all control for the most part, right? For the most part. Now, if somebody's in a manic episode, like, you might not be sleeping at all, right? But for the most part, this is something that we can work on without medical help or anything like that. Now, that's the answer, but sleep is a practical thing that we can kind of work on, so keep that in mind. Kevin says, what about naps? So Kevin, thank you for asking. There's nothing really wrong with a nap per se, right? But if you're napping a lot, it could be a sign that maybe you're not sleeping at night. But taking like a little 10-15 minute nap or something like that just to get back right, I don't see anything wrong with that, Kevin. And let me get some questions here as well. Do you define depression as a hormone imbalance or a mental health issue, or both? Ooh. So depression is complicated. I think sometimes it could be a chemical imbalance. Sometimes it could be environmental factors. Sometimes you could be at a job that you just hate. You just hate this job. Like, you just hate the damn job. And then you quit the job and then you no longer have what you thought was depression. So depression is quite complex. I think to be saying that it's just a chemical imbalance, or, a lot of things can go into depression, so it's much more complex than we think. The main thing that we should do is we should respect the condition as something that can, impact a lot of people's lives, and we should be working towards, a solution and not judging ourselves. That's very important. Laura Bradshaw. Hey, Laura, thank you for your attention. Depression, ADHD. Hey, Laura, we're going to get through it. We are going to get through it. Let me give y'all the second potential sign of depression. This one right here might shock y'all, right? But I wanted to put this one here. The second low-key hidden sign of the depression right here. Slumped posture. All right. So, when you're depressed, you do different things that you may not realize. Like, your eye contact might be poor. Instead of looking straight ahead, you're like, and then a lot of times the people who are depressed, you'll see like a slumped posture. I see it all the times in patients. And, when, at least for me, I can't talk for any other provider or doctor out there, but if I'm talking to a patient and like I'm watching the patient while I'm talking to you, like I'm watching your body language, I'm watching your behavior, I'm watching to see how you move. If you're moving really slow, if you're moving fast, if you're fidgety, and a lot of times you will see like a slumped posture in people who are depressed. Literally, that's why I say sometimes if you can just walk straighter. Now if you're depressed right now and you're like this, and I tell you to walk straight and you go like this, that's not going to fix your depression, right? Like, that's not, standing straight is not the same thing as Prozac or whatever. But it's a mental thing. Like, you're gonna say, hey, maybe I caught myself slumping, but I'm gonna come back up straight. I'm gonna do my best to make sure my body is erect and standing tall. So I definitely wanted to mention that in there. That's definitely a low-key, a low-key hidden one. Timothy says slumped, trying to be smaller. But yeah. And sometimes. So Timothy, let me give Timothy the first love of the show right now. I like this because, like, think about it, right? If you don't know what depression looks like, or you have a hard time figuring out what it would look like, imagine somebody who's depressed. If your posture is like this and you're depressed, that, like, your body is communicating to me that you're ashamed about something. Maybe not depression, maybe something else, but like you want to kind of like crawl up and like disappear, just not be there. So you may not have known what you did with this comment, but I definitely wanted to bring that, move that comment onto the big screen so everybody could see it. Emily, I appreciate you. I appreciate, and also thank you to my whole Facebook community. I really appreciate you all, because I've been posting content consistently for 3 years now on the different platforms. And, I was not expecting this community at all. Like, I was, posting on TikTok, and, I did have, millions of followers, but what we have here is something special, because it's not about followers, but it's about engagement. So as I read you all's comments, and as y'all go through this, like, we're all going through the same things, right? But Some of us look different from each other, but we're all in this thing together. So, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really do appreciate this entire community. Like, that's why I spend so much time here. I really rock with y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right. And let me get the third one. All right. Uh this is the third potential sign. Changes. Oh, actually, let me put on this on the screen before I say it. Right here. All right. The third potential sign: changes in diet slash weight fluctuation. So I spoke a little bit about diet as well. But let me talk about diet and weight, right? So with depression, right? And sometimes I believe, right? I still need to get the literature to back me up on this, but I do believe that even if you're not diagnosed with like major depressive disorder, just with depression in general, like let's say you're going through a funk, but you haven't been sad for 2 weeks or whatever, so we can't call it major depressive disorder, right? But you've been going through a funk for 3 or 4 days, right? Sometimes you will see that you tend to reach for foods that are higher in sugar content, right? There's actually there is evidence that I've read that shows that when you are depressed, you tend to reach for foods that are starchy, those carby foods. You tend to reach for those foods, as a way to kind of comfort yourself, and you may not know it, but that might be why you stop by, Applebee's, Chick-fil-A after work, maybe to make you feel better, right? So some of these are the low key signs that we may not pick up on, right? And also with your weight, right? If somebody has a significant change, fluctuation in weight within a rather small amount of time, that type of thing is concerning. It doesn't mean that that you're too far gone. It just means that that's something that I would pick up on. Like, I wonder why they're not eating, or this person weighs 175 pounds. And they normally weigh 210. Why did they lose 30 something pounds in a month, right? Adriana says, I do stop eating most times that I get depressed. Yeah, I've seen this a lot. Adriana, thank you for sharing. Samantha says the chocolate. All right, so Samantha, if anybody here had a chocolate frosty today, I'm not saying that you're depressed, right? I rock with the chocolate frosties too. Like I like them. The vanilla one's good too, and the cookies and cream milkshake. But I'm getting off topic. Does depression medication help with curbing the depression cravings? That's a good question. Do depression medication that's a really, really good question. I don't know the specific answer to that, to be honest with you, but from what I've heard patients say, and I've never taken depression medication. I can tell you what ADHD medication does for me, but for like an antidepressant, I hear patients say, "Oh, I feel lighter on my feet." Like I feel like, if anything, I think one hidden benefit of medications that we don't talk a lot about is the meds. That's the thing with mental health and psychiatry in general. If you look at all the meds, take psychiatry. Look at all the psych meds and compare it to like the meds that you have for like diabetes. The medications that we have don't stack up. With antidepressants, people feel better. Or the symptoms go into remission like a third of the time. So if there's 3 people on here, let's say there's 3 people who are my patients on here, and I give all 3 of them Zoloft, but based on the numbers, one person we can expect to kind of like feel better. So what about the other 2 people? What are they going to do? Like, are we just going to leave them hanging? So I'm a big believer in medications, SSRIs, everything, because there's evidence behind them. So I do believe that they can, if a medication is helping you feel lighter, and if it's helping you get to a point where you can take advantage of therapy, you can take advantage of your appetite, or you feel like you're in more control, you're in better control of yourself, then it could help out with cravings. But meds don't do everything. But meds, in my opinion, I believe that meds are supposed to put you in a position to where you can take advantage of all the other things that could be helpful to you. Like a good support system, eliminating negative self-talk, standing up to people, maybe even your family members, boundaries. All these things work together with the medications to help you feel better. I hope I answered your question, but thank you for asking a question that I didn't know the answer to. I gotta, I gotta. It made me think. It made me think. Someone said lamento. Emily, I was talking about antidepressants, not mood stabilizers, but I'm not sure what you I'm not sure what you meant by that. But I was talking about antidepressants. But lamento, I've used it for my patients. You know, good medication. I saw a comedian say a sure sign of depression is when you eat ice cream out of the container using a fork because all your spoons are dirty because you're too depressed. Timothy, that's actually, and that's why I love comedy. That's actually a very, very, very accurate sign of depression. You know, and that's why comedy I'm a fan of comedy. It's amazing because you get to laugh. Like if you can laugh and teach people at the same time, like you've hit a home run. That's what I try and do with my content. So Timothy, you're 2 for 2, 2 love of the shows. But this it's funny, but this is like jokes aside, this is kind of what depression does look like. All right, so now the fourth potential low-key sign of depression. Drop it in here. All right, and this is having an over-reliance on substances, right? And notice how I said an over-reliance on substances, you know, because I get that. I live in the U.S., right? I'm in Los Angeles, you know, and the American culture. I'm not sure how it is around the world, but in the American culture, there's alcohol is embedded into what we do. Like alcohol is just a big part of everything. Whether the Super Bowl, whether it's you're flying on a plane, and like alcohol is just everywhere, right? So when you don't drink alcohol, it's kind of weird. People are like why don't you drink alcohol? Like, do you have a problem? And I'm like, we shouldn't have to explain why we don't drink alcohol or why we do, right? But an over reliance on substances could be a potential sign of depression, right? And the key word there is over reliance. If you had a couple of glasses of wine before you watch this, or if you're drinking wine while you're watching this, I'm talking about an over reliance on substances, right? If you took an edible, you know, and you're high right now, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about an over reliance on substances, and we'll get back to this cannabis conversation a little bit later because somebody said that I'm anti-cannabis and I'm taking money from the pharmaceutical companies. I have made zero money from. I don't even know what pharmaceutical company. I haven't made a single dime off of any. I don't work with any medication, any brand, nothing like that. Like I want to stay on the fun side of content, skits, improv, the dances to teach y'all stuff. So I take zero money from pharmaceutical companies. So I'm not anti-cannabis. All I said was that for people with schizophrenia and some people with bipolar disorder, I've seen cannabis land people in the psych hospital. But I'm not anti-cannabis. I think we should do more research into CBD and THC to see how that can be helpful, because I would argue that if we did more research into it, we could be like, oh wow, like CBD can be very helpful. THC could be helpful, but I still have to promote evidence-based information. So we just gotta get some evidence out there, right? So an over reliance on someone said what about Dr. Pepper? I guess Dr. Pepper is fine. But an over reliance on substance is where it starts to get tricky, right? Too much alcohol all the time, you know, like if you're like if you drink alcohol to the point where you cannot function without it, you have to go get detox. Like there's a protocol for it. You know, that's why we tell people who are, addicted to alcohol and your body would, you get withdrawals whenever like you stop. Those types of people, you need to go to the hospital, right? You don't want to be at home because you can get these life-threatening seizures, right? So when you have over-reliance on a substance like alcohol, you put yourself in a position to where you can have all these other issues. But you have to first of all ask yourself, why am I drinking alcohol, right? At the detriment of myself. Like, why do I continue to go buy all these bottles? I'm running out of money. Why do I keep going to go buy more weed? I need more weed. I need more weed. I need to go get an eighth. Like, when you're relying on that substance to make you feel happy, then I'm like, I'm not judging you for what you do, but I'm like, could there be something that's going on that I don't see, that if I pick up on that, we can help out the patient or the person or the friend, right? So the key word is the over reliance on the substances, right? So alcohol as it is, it's part of culture. I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing. Cannabis as it is, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think cannabis is a bad thing as it is. But we just have to figure out what's the use of this substance in medicine and psychiatry, right? But if you're relying on something too much, it could be a sign that maybe I don't feel too good about myself. Even food, over reliance on food, same thing, right? Things are better in moderation. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind. Let me see. Can you please post yes, Brenda, I'm gonna post the steps when the video's over, and then if one of the moderators could pin that comment, just pin that Kendra or Leilani, can you pin my comment over the like, I think I have a generic comment pin right now, like, hey, my name is Kojo, whatever. Just take that one off, and you can pin the signs, because I think that would bring you more value. All right, now the fifth potential sign. Why is it not showing? All right, Leilani, thank you. The fifth potential sign is issues with memory, right? So a lot of times, like, it's funny because I think that when people think of like memory issues, this person has ADHD, they can't focus, they keep forgetting things. But I'm like, you can't just look at somebody and say, oh, that person has ADHD because they can't focus. You have to figure out what type of memory are we talking about. Are we talking about working memory, which is the things that we keep in our head that just kind of recently happened? Are we talking about what happened 5 years ago? But with depression, sometimes you struggle with memory. Like, it's just hard to remember things, and you get to the point. I had a patient that described it to me. He said he feels like he's high all the time, right? Like you're high, you're talking, and you're like, oh yeah, I went. What was I saying? And of course, like, I got what he was saying, and it was a joke, but it's not a laughing matter, right? That's sometimes one of the things with depression that people don't expect, right? Like, just forgetting things, literally, like, you just like I was supposed to, or you get home and you're like, I forgot to pick up this from Ralph's. Now I don't have any ragu to cook the spaghetti, but it's like, why do I keep forgetting things, right? So memory, also, if you don't sleep, going back to the first one, if you don't sleep, it's going to be hard to remember things, right? And I tell myself that all the time because I know these tips, and I'm like, all right, Kojo, we got to get to sleep. That's the only reason why I have the Apple Watch. I'm like, we got to get to sleep. We got to get to sleep. We got to get to sleep, right? Someone says, forgetting my kid's birthday when asked. Oh, Leilani, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Give me 1 second. I'll ask for the magic word. And oh my gosh, the brain fog and the concentration lapses are real. Yeah, and sometimes it's almost embarrassing, right? If somebody asks you to remember something, or you're like, let me get back with you a little bit later, right? Because that that thing, but you just forgot it in this moment. And when you walk away from them, you're like, all right, okay, I'll text you, whatever it is. You get back in your car, and then the answer comes to your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, like, and then you go about your day, So let me get the all right. So can somebody drop the magic word in the chat, and then I'm going to. I didn't get to read as many questions in here, but I mean the comments, but I got so many good comments right here. Oh my gosh, so many. Looking for your iPhone, and if I've done that before. I spent like 2 hours today looking for my wallet. It kind of threw me off, but when I found my wallet, I was just like relieved to have the wallet, and I stopped being mad because I thought the wallet was gone. I'm like, my wallet is gone like forever. Callie, cheers. Cheers, y'all. Time for the magic word. Cheers. Oh boy. Leilani and Kendra, were y'all able to pin? Or actually, did I even drop it in there? I may not have dropped in. Look at me, I forgot. A typical day. All right. So, someone says, "Do you have depression and ADHD?" I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I've not been diagnosed with clinical depression, but I feel like the ADHD experience will allow you to understand. If you have ADHD, I think you can understand depression, and that's just personal opinion. That's not it's not evidence based. It's just my personal. Well, actually, no, it is evidence based because with ADHD, you are more likely to be depressed. So I take it back. It is evidence based. Laura, I'm reading these comments, but they come in fast. But here are the five signs, and somebody will pin it. I do gotta run, and I have to come back and then promote the depression short film. Leanne, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I was talking to a friend today, and I was flirting with the idea of doing live streams that go on for longer than an hour. So we're gonna get creative with these lives, and I'm gonna also fix the background and different stuff too. But before I go, I do want to say that there's a on my Facebook page. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to watch it. But there's a short film on depression. It's called Hidden Pain. It's about 6 minutes and 47 seconds. I would love for you all to watch it. I'd love your feedback on it. Let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, if you don't like it, I'm not gonna be offended. You know, like just let me know. We'll make the next one better. Do a dance. All right, y'all. I gotta dip out. But I appreciate y'all, and I love y'all, and I will see you all tomorrow. Is Wednesday. I'll try to squeeze in the show tomorrow. But I'll see you all shortly. Oh, the film has been uploaded to Facebook. That's good news. Awesome. All right, y'all. So I gotta dip out, but take care. I love y'all, and thank you for allowing me to do this. I really, really appreciate you all, and I hope y'all are learning. I hope y'all are laughing. So until next time, peace.